Hello, my name is Jason Sheeran, and I want to welcome you to the Jasonverse. Father Ed is an Edward from an alternate universe that went absolutely mad after a series of events that turned his life upside down. However, this entity didn't start off evil. Father Ed at one point was very similar to the main Edward. Old, cheerful, kind, and full of wisdom. The only difference is, most of the engines on the island would call him Father Ed because he was like a father figure to the engines. Unlike the main Edward, who left Tidmouth Sheds to go live at Wellsworth, Father Ed decided to stay at Tidmouth and was often overlooked by his world's Sir Topham Hatt along with his world's Gordon and James, who were larger than him. No matter how hard he tried to prove to them that he was really useful, they would treat him like scrap metal. Despite this, Father Ed managed to keep a positive attitude and continue to work on the railway. He was also really close friends with his world's Henry, who was around the same age as him and a brother figure. Life was great on Sodor, that is until one tragic day when Father Ed's life would turn upside down. It all started with a fatal accident that damaged Henry beyond repair. He was taking a heavy goods train to Vickerstown, just like in the original timeline, except the accident was much more severe. Henry had crashed into some fuel tankers and they had exploded. He was all over the place, and when Father Ed found out about this, he was horrified. Henry was one of the only friends he had, and now he was gone. While his world's Gordon and James said horrible things about Father Edward, saying that it was his fault that Henry was dead, his world's Percy tried his best to comfort him. At the time, his world's Thomas was traveling around the world just like in the original timeline, except Sir Topham Hatt was with him, and they had been planning that trip for 2 years prior to all of this. There was a substitute controller filling in for Topham who was sympathetic towards Father Edward. The controller and Percy assured Father Ed that things would get better, and they kind of did for a while. That is until Sir Topham Hatt returned. When he found out about Henry, he did something unthinkable. He immediately bought another engine named Rebecca to take his place without remorse, much to Edward's shock and anger. He tried to tell Sir Topham Hatt that what he was doing wasn't right, but as always, Sir Topham Hatt paid no attention. Unfortunately, Father Ed's luck only got worse from there. He was doing his work as usual, and when he got back to Tidmouth Sheds, he was shocked to see an orange tank engine called Nia in his berth. Then Sir Topham walked over and told Father Ed that he had arranged for him to be sleeping at Wellsworth from now on without his knowledge, unlike the main Edward who went to Wellsworth by choice. That was the final straw for the Blue Engine. Something changed that day inside Father Ed. Something snapped. He was cheerful and wise no more. He killed Sir Topham Hatt and ran Nia off the rails. Then he hunted down Rebecca and caused Knapford Station to explode with Rebecca under it, crushing her to death. Then he let out a maniacal laugh that only meant one thing. Edward had finally lost it. As time went on, Father Ed became more and more angry, and his blue color turned into a light purplish color, along with purple pupils and a sinister smile. His voice had also changed to sound more ghost-like, even though he's still alive. He became feared by not just the island of Sodor, but the entirety of Europe as well. The only engine that was even worse than him was his world's #1 tank engine, but that's a story for another day.